What's poppin', everybody? This is ICJ and Terabang Entertainment, Fig, The Mix, all that great stuff. It is Wednesday, March 8th. Last week was GDC, the Game Developers Conference. It was super crazy. The mix was popping. It was so super amazing. So shout out to the mix team, Nico for taking photos, everyone involved, Kovo, all of our sponsors. It was super sick. And now it's recovery time. And one thing I do want to talk about as far as my ICJ moments of reflection, I did one a couple weeks ago. It's been a minute. I did a couple more, but I've got some awesome equipment. Shout out to Mark Ryan for suggesting this and a new mic. And I'm in the Fig booth. First time testing this out. I've been putting together some foam for the acoustics and things like that. Anyway, I want to talk about preparation because I think that a lot of us as developers, we prep, we wing it. You know what I mean? We're entrepreneurs. We kind of go by the seat of our pants. But at times when we do over prepare and we're like really grinding and working on a talk, or we're working on an event or preparation for marketing our game, anything, a proposal, it takes a lot out of us, but at the end of the day, it's actually really, really worth over preparing and then utilizing what you were working on, even if things change, because things are going to change, not getting stuck to a particular outcome, but figuring things out on the journey. So one thing, and this is just for myself. So a few years back, we were finishing up Super Common Man. Super Common Man was actually pretty much done, and we were doing a lot of things with the mix. Luckily, UBM and GDC accepted a few of the talks. Shout out to Brandon Sheffield too, because I spoke with a lot of the young game developers about marketing, and then I also went to Taipei to talk about that. And one thing that for me, I had a lot of training when I was in the IGN Indie Open House, and it took me a minute to get the nerve to get in front of people because I'm just intrinsically I'm just like a laid back person, but I don't like to necessarily talk in front of crowds like many of you also. And when I started doing that, I started to prepare, over prepare, and then when I started to get in front of the crowds, I would kind of freeze up a little bit, but then I would just think back about, the notes in my head and then just perform, and it ended up turning out pretty good. And so when I was on a larger public forum, like doing panels at PAX, I did a couple panels at PAX in 2015 and then 2014, and then I did some other panels, and we did the Taipei talk, Digital Taipei, with some amazing people there. And the over preparation, I would just like study and go over, and I would be, it'd be nerve-wracking. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to go out in front of all these people and talk. And it's so, my heart was beating out my chest. I would even, I'm going to even admit it, every once in a while I would take a shot before I went up. But I completely stopped that a little bit later on. But anyway, when I got up there and I had my slides, everything organized, and I'm not gonna front like I'm the best speaker ever. I think I did fine, and I definitely need to practice and keep doing talks. But when I got up there, everything flowed so properly. I used my slides as bullet points. I was able to go off the top of my head. I was able to read the crowd and audience and figure out how to deliver my message differently based on the juxtaposition. I was able to read the crowd and make choices on how I change my delivery based on the body language and the feedback that I was feeling and the vibes I was just feeling from the crowd. And it ended up going really well. I had some great questions afterwards, and I was super satisfied with doing the talk. Now, the same thing goes with pretty much anything. So for the mix, if you're aware of putting things together, putting events together, working with a bunch of people, there's a lot of things to consider. So, there's logistics, and luckily I have an amazing squad, amazing team. Joel Dreskin, Travis Carver, Zane, Felipe, Evan, Dan, Dave, Nico, everybody, Matt, everybody who's involved in the process. We've kind of locked it down for quite a bit. But it's also nerve-wracking as far as setting everything up in advance, talking with the venue to death about preparations, measuring the area, figuring out where we're going to get the monitors from, because we had, Intel was a great sponsor for monitors and some other things. And we had a room in the back where we worked with Area 5 on setting up a stream. We had to make sure the Ethernet connection was on point. They had a soundboard, sound equipment. The mics were on point. Danny was, down to do it. How we were going to get, Twitch front page and get people in and out properly. Get the catering on time. There's all these there's all these small components encapsulated in this one thing. And one thing that I pride myself on, and I'm happy that we are able to do, although time is a very limited resource, based on working on various things at once, working on our Jay and Silent Bob game, finishing up Super Combo Man, and working with Fig and such, is the over preparation. So then even the weekend before, I was like, oh my God, how are we going to get this stuff done? Oh my God, how are we going to get this done? These things aren't ready. And I'm not really freaking out, but at the same time, I'm kind of a control freak, a type A personality that really needs to make sure things are in place. So when we got to the venue, so in particular, this event was very tough because one of the stipulations of the particular place that we were having the event at was we couldn't set up until 4:30. We were able to knock that down to 4, but we told all the developers to get there between 5 and 5:30. So then they would be able to set up all of their equipment and get ready for guests to arrive at 7. So that was really tough for me to, kind of swallow, because, I want everything set up. I want to get in there in the morning, have everything set up, and have a huge margin for error so we can make adjustments. That wasn't the case. We just had to make sure that we planned ahead of time and then figure that out as we went. Since we did a lot of planning, even though I was running around and I was a little bit stressed out and I was like, this needs to go here, this isn't perfect, boom, boom, boom. It came together really well, and there wasn't really any issues. And when I think about that in hindsight, I'm like, yes, it's because of understanding inherently at this point over communication and over preparation beforehand. Even though things had to really get changed, everything was kind of settled in my mind and settled in the team's mind of what we were going to be doing at this particular event. And besides, there was a little bit of spatial issues because certain parts we didn't have access to, we had access to, and we had to figure out how to configure games. And I like to help as many people as possible and work with as many people as possible, so I have the tendency to shove extra extra things in events last minute. But I've been a lot better at that, especially when working with a team. They're like, what the hell are you doing, Jay? So yeah, that was it was a great experience. I would say, you know, to myself, if I look at this again, or to anybody who's checking this out, to like, don't worry about over analyzing the situation. Make sure you do that. Don't stress too hard on whether the details are going to be exactly as you planned them when you are doing your talk or creating. I mean, I could even go an hour about game development, because when you're developing your game, you do want a specific strategy to hit your goal as far as release, but you can't have super stringent goals that aren't flexible. So that I would just say that make sure that you have plans and for the future, you know, learn from the past, live in the present, and then adjust along the way based on the plans that you've initially created. That's pretty much it. ICJ Moments of Reflection. I believe this is 6. You may see the other ones come out. The lost tapes come out soon. I want to say shout out to Fig. Shout out to the Interrobang squad and everybody's checking this out. If you have any comments, post them below. I will be doing and continuing to do these videos when I can. I want to do them on a more regular basis. I hope this helps out. If anyone has any questions based on, you know, my kind of personal struggles in the indie game scene or the industry or any kind of business stuff, please let me know too. I will create a video for you guys. You know what I mean? So anyway, everyone have a great one. Peace.